Hello and welcome. Welcome everyone for the third edition of the Digital Health Demo Day, which is powered by the Digital Health Center, Bulach, and Tenity. And we are extremely happy to have you here. And wow, what a venue. It's amazing. We originally booked it for Coldplay, but then we decided to organize a demo day here. It's really cool. And I think the next time, for the fourth edition, we're really going to be able to fill the entire, basically, concert saal here in this building. So my name is Brigitta Györfi, and actually I'm the hub director of Tenity in Switzerland. And I'm going to be your host today. And I'm extremely happy to see so many actually familiar faces in the audience, but also many new faces. So it's great because it also shows that our ecosystem is growing in a steady pace. So today we are really, or tonight actually, we are really celebrating the true innovation. When I'm saying true innovation, because the innovation which you're going to hear about today, they're really saving lives and they are improving the patient care. So what is planned for tonight? After my initial introduction, we're going to hear a very inspiring keynote from Professor Dr. Annalisa Martin-Niedecken. And she's going to talk about also how to build a future of hospitals. So really also combining design, technology, and also healthcare. And of course, the highlight of tonight's event is our 7 startups who are going to pitch in this very stage. They just freshly graduated from the Digital Health Accelerator, and they are really ready to showcase their innovative healthcare solutions. And between the pitches, we're also going to have an expert panel. We have organized today a very exciting topic, also kind of looking a little bit into how hospitals already today using basically the newest technologies to digitalize their operations. So it's also going to be a very insightful discussion. And of course, there is no demo day without a networking apero, because this is also the reason why we are today, to actually increase our network. So I really want to ask you that before you're going home tonight, at least make 3 new contacts during this evening. So I'm very excited to introduce you a little bit, like who is actually behind the Digital Health Accelerator. So I'm representing Tenity here also in the stage. We are a global startup ecosystem and also early stage investor. We operate across 6 different hubs, but we're really, really deeply rooted in Switzerland. This is also where Tenity has been born. And we have a mission which is pretty simple and also powerful. We want to connect bold, innovators and thinkers with resources, with mentorship, with capital, so that they can also work on their ideas, and also most importantly, connecting them with forward-looking partners, corporate partners, who are also ready to basically experiment with this new innovation. And already we have worldwide more than 65 corporate partners in financial services, because this is originally our DNA, in technology and also in health. And we are building together the future of finance and health. And our esteemed partner in crime, in that sense, is a Digital Health Center in Bulach. Without them, we would not be also here today. They are the largest, in Switzerland, they are the largest interdisciplinary network who is focusing primarily on digitalization in health, in healthcare. And their network is extremely powerful because they are connecting startups, obviously partners, corporate partners, and also other service providers to encourage basically the collaboration and the innovation. So we are a very well-matched, it's a very well-matched partnership. They also have more than 80 members and 30 partners, so it's a really extended network. And besides, they also have a very inspiring co-working space, also event space, where they also regularly organizing thought leaderships events and community events. So, of course, we would not be here also either without our very esteemed partners. Also a big shout out specifically for Zurich Kantonalbank, who is also behind the program, and I'm sure we have some of the representatives also sitting here, but also the other sponsors and supporters who actually stand behind the program and giving their time, their energy, their knowledge also for the startups who are sitting here today. So a big applause for all of our partners. Thank you very much. So what we have obviously realized, and one of our biggest learning is that the gap of innovation in the healthcare sector is really around matching startups with healthcare providers. And this is exactly where we also position ourselves. We are an intermediator between this kind of two worlds, which is also moving a little bit in a different speed, so to say. So what we have set ourselves as a target for 2026, that we are increasingly actually shifting towards hospitals and also hospital care, and how we can actually connect our startups who are also in our program together with the hospitals. Why? Because the hospitals are very much eager for innovation. There's already a lot of things happening, and you're going to learn a lot during our keynote speech and also during the panel discussion, but we still see that there are obviously need for better processes, for expertise, or sometimes even it's a lack of time which is also hindering this collaboration. So this is exactly where we can kind of build the bridges and close the gap, also with our knowledge. We have been already doing that the last 10 years in the fintech sector, where we have also built kind of a long pipeline of projects. And this is exactly the process which we are also transferring into the healthcare sector. So with our existing portfolio, which is growing, and obviously the corporate partners in the network, together with DHC, we are actually very well set for the next year to tackle even more problems and challenges in the hospital space. And we already have proof points that this formula really works. From our previous badges, we have concrete success stories where our startups have been also closing close relationship with hospitals. One of our success story is Mankind Trial, who already raised more than 1.5 million, and they are working on an AI solution which also help support, run, and manage clinical trials, which is obviously a big pain point in the industry. Or Via Comuna, who has built a solution to help and support stroke patients and their caregivers also during their journey of recovery. And they are working on a pilot with KSV, kind of hospital. And last but not least, SDX, Swiss DTX, which has actually built an application to support patients basically going through their therapy, and this is focusing primarily on their mental health, and this solution is already used in Hirslanden. So again, this is exactly what we are looking for, these cases, to make sure that we can also help to improve the patient's health throughout these collaborations. But now let's go back to why we are here tonight, and our startups, our cohort or batch, actually 3. Let's look a little bit behind the curtain who basically our startups are. We have founders, we have 18 founders in this current batch, which are coming from 6 different countries. So it's really a diverse group, which is also showcasing that obviously we are covering the Swiss market, but we are also bringing innovative startups from abroad to the Swiss healthcare sector. They have spent more than 80 hours workshops and coaching with our esteemed coaches. And they actually went through more than, meetings, more than 15 corporate partners and investors. And actually, something which happens sometimes, during this program, even one baby just born. Yes. So we make sure we already have a next generation of innovators as well. So this is exactly kind of a forward thinking. Now, what's happening during this Accelerator program? Obviously, it starts initially with the market scanning. So we spend countless hours to looking for the true innovators in the market. We have scanned more than 200 companies before we actually decided who is going to be the ones who can join the Accelerator program. We go through a selection process where also our expert mentors and coaches help us identify where is really basically a true potential. And once startups are joining us, we take them through a boot camp, or what we also say the startup deep dive assessment, to really understand where are their strengths, what are the challenges, what do they need, what help and support they need, so we can also tailor this experience for them. So once they join, we start with the foundation. Obviously, product market fit is extremely important, and also validation in the market, that we have also proof points that there is a clear need out for their solution. Then we take them to the build phase, which means that we set them up for a successful fundraising, and also storytelling, pitching is obviously a very important key competence as a founder to be successful in this market. And last but not least, the last week, which was actually just this week, what we call Shine, which means that it's all about sales, marketing, go-to-market. How do you really bring your products into the market? And obviously, our program is culminating tonight with the demo day, but the story doesn't stop here, because we also go beyond. The startups, they remain in our alumni, in our network, and we keep also supporting them and obviously connecting them with investors, with corporate partners. So again, a huge shout out and a big applause for all the mentors, coaches who supported us, give their time for free, for pro bono. Again, without you, this program wouldn't be such a success. So again, thank you very much for all your support. And now the time has come to kick off with our first keynote speech from Professor Dr. Annalisa Martin-Niedecken is also here with us, and she's going to show us how basically designing a better digital health might look like, and looking a little bit into the future. So I would like to invite Annalisa on the stage. Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Is it working? Yes, now.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And the click.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for this kind introduction, and also welcome from my side to our Tone area, to the ZHDK, Zurich University of the Arts. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all here, even though you are not Coldplay. That doesn't matter. So we are very happy to welcome you here, and I'm also very happy to share a little bit of some insights of the activities we as an art school, or art and design school, are actually also doing in the field of digital, in brackets, health. So before I will start to talk a little bit more about the digital part, I just very briefly also wanted to mention some of the insights which are very interesting, happening mainly in the Department of Design here at ZHDK. However, it's also very interesting to keep in mind that the other arts, such as performing arts, fine arts, or music, also hold great potential when it comes to new and innovative approaches towards the field of health and also digital health. So you see here some very nice analog solutions which all actually made their way also to becoming a startup. So that's really cool, I think. Out of the bachelor or the master studies, some of them were also research projects in between or afterwards. So yeah, also we at ZHDK are very much committed towards innovation, also research-based innovation. But now let's focus on the topic of digital health a little bit more. And that's something we are also very passionate about. And I think most of you, since you're all experts in this field of digital health, are also convinced that it holds a lot of potential when it comes to new solutions. However, there's also a lot of challenges when we think about digitalization in the healthcare sector in general. Very often when we really scan the existing solutions, we will find a lack of interdisciplinarity in the development processes of such solutions. And also we will very often find isolated solutions. So there's a lot of potential still being left. Also, we very often, and that's very interesting for us, coming from the design perspective, we very often face that the end users or the different stakeholders who are actually supposed to be the target audience of our solutions are not sufficiently being involved into the development and research process from the very beginning. That results very often in a lack of user-friendliness and also, of course, in the trust we put into a solution and in the end in less empowerment than it should. And that's exactly the place where we, coming from the design discipline, can enter the stage. And many of you might think, design, a nice chair, design, a nice presentation, but that's not all. Design actually brings in various different sub-disciplines, such as service design, such as product design, interaction design, experience design, just to name a few. And it's also a very researching discipline, meaning that we are also coming with a lot of methodological approaches, which can actually help, especially when we combine them with rather traditional academic-shaped methods, to identify blind spots regarding knowledge gaps, but also practical gaps. So that's something we can do. And also, we are very strong in breaking down disciplinary silos, bringing together different stakeholder groups onto one table to really co-create and in a very participatory manner also to shape new solutions, which of course would then also be much more user-friendly and besides that, we are also very good in breaking down very complex topics, for instance, which we very often face in the health sector, to be very simple. And we can do so by allowing very tangible prototypical experiences we can co-create together. Also, of course, also allowing for emotional relatedness to the final solutions. That would be only some points which hopefully also convince the last people about the potentials which actually lie in design. So at the Digital Health Design Living Lab, what we are doing there is now to put all these different potentials and also challenges to the table, and now we really teamed up together with our partners from the University of Zurich and the Zurich University of Applied Sciences, or to be more concrete, from UZH, we teamed up with the medical ethics experts, and at the side of the ZHAW, it's the experts in public health. And together we are funded by the DITS, that's a digital initiative of the Canton Zurich, to build this interdisciplinary or cross-disciplinary structure. We are not doing that alone, but together with patient organizations, with university hospitals, with other research institutions, and also more and more startups at the national level, but also on the international level. So that's also something which is still growing. And we just started in 2021, so we just turned 3 a couple of weeks ago, and are also kind of a startup, let's say, focusing on really developing, co-creating targeted solutions for real needs from the field, but also to develop new knowledge scientifically, but also practically through this mix of different disciplinary methods and also iterative processes, so to say. This new knowledge we mainly share in the format of different educational tracks here at ZHDK, but also at the other universities being involved. And the practical things actually result in real solutions, which are also being used outside of this building in real application fields. Our main focus area, or you might ask, we start with this, you might ask yourself, how does such a digital living lab actually look like? Therefore, I also brought you some pictures actually from this building. So we, for instance, have very nice workshops down in our basement, which we can use as collaborative, interdisciplinary spaces. We can also use as more traditionally shaped research places at your desk. And of course, we are also using all the different satellites from our partners. So we can use simulation centers at the university hospitals, but also we very often bring prototypes on a very, very early stage to our potential target audiences to be used at home and tested at home also, for instance. So we very often really engage into the real fields of application to learn about it and to get immersed in them. So we very often say that the living lab in our case is really existing or various different satellites coming together in one collaborative space. Who are we? That's also very important to mention, since I very often said we, and now it's time to also show you some faces behind of our amazing growing team. Again, bringing together various different people from various different backgrounds. And we also are very proud that it's not only experienced experts joining the teams, but also PhD students, BA and MA students doing their work in the context of our activities, so that's also very nice. And we are still growing. Our main fields of activity, you see them here, are research and development, and I'll also be showing you a little bit more about that in a second. Then we are also developing and also conducting our own educational formats, also in the field of CIS and summer and winter schools, for instance. And the last one would be the outreach and dissemination activities. And here, for instance, we also run on an annual basis our Digital Health Design Living Lab Challenge, where real case hosts coming from the practice will come with a challenge to be solved, and everyone being interested, and I really mean everyone, experts from different disciplines, but also the public audience can join and team up with other like-minded people to then tackle this challenge together and become supported by us. So that's also something we are very proud of and which also resulted already in some very innovative solutions. But back to the field of research and development. As I promised you, I will give you some insights. So during the last 3 years, we were really able to identify some very interesting fields where our, nowadays it's like 36 third-party funded projects, we have InnoSwiss projects, SNF projects, but also DITS funded and many more. Some of them also involve startups or other implementation partners, companies. Others are not doing so yet, but always they are involving the stakeholder groups being involved and also being meant to profit in the end of the new gained knowledge or the innovation. And if I would say that all of our projects are very different, that's true. However, they follow a very similar process, so to say. So you see here in the upper left, the so-called double diamond coming from the design discipline, which is very nice if you put it onto the different phases. So we have, for instance, partners who already have an existing proof of concept, an early stage prototype, or let's say some evidence coming from the lab, and who really want to bring something they can implement in a specific market field afterwards. And depending on the level there are different entry stages. You can join a collaboration and various different iterative loops in between to really make sure that in the end we come up with an evidence-based, human-centered design solution. Solution can really mean everything: a product, a service, a method, a standard, you name it. To give you a little bit a more tangible idea about what that actually is, what we do, I also will very briefly show you some of the examples of the current ongoing projects we are doing. Also, some of them are in close collaboration with companies or startups. So, for instance, we co-developed this game. It's a cardboard game for seniors who are entering their retirement phase, and they have to plan what will happen afterwards in a very playful manner. Then, very recently, we teamed up with an amazing team from ETH, where we focus about using menstrual blood to predict specific health parameters, and that's a rather new project, so there we are really at the beginning. Then we are also collaborating with the emergency hospital unit at the Inselspital in Bern to understand potentials and also limitations of AI being used in this context. That's also very interesting and much more on the basic research side yet. And we are also, for instance, developed at our challenge AI-based coaches for parents of neurodivergent children, for instance. I brought more. Another project focuses on preventing hospital-required pneumonia, and we do so by really developing interventions together with our partners and also PPIs, so patient representatives being involved in the core teams. We are currently testing at the university hospital. In another project, we are focusing on the right-hand side. We are focusing on the neuro-intensive care, and this time not only on the patients, but also on the healthcare professionals facing this cognitive overload day by day from these various different data streams, signals, audiovisual, and this in a very critical phase. So therefore, we are here co-designing and iterating a new UI interface. And then I brought to you some projects which I'm now, to close the cycle, be introducing in a little bit more detail. So the first is this one. It's threefold, and it was conducted some time ago. It was an InnoSwiss supported project being conducted together with the ETH spin-off Hylomed. And Hylomed is a material. And this project focused on developing a new application tool to be able to use this Hylomed material you see here on the right-hand side, which is a biosynthetic and very well received material when it comes to, for instance, inserting pacemakers. So the body reacts very well to it. However, it's very fragile, and therefore the challenge the team tackled here was really on focusing towards new application methods and techniques. So very briefly, after some focus group interviews with different experts and also a lot of material research, you see here some insights into the iterative design process using origami technique and different materials to really come up in a very creative but still evidence-based way with a final prototype. And this is the very interesting part also about this project, since it was conducted during the pandemic and it was not possible to go to a clinic and to engage and observe clinicians using this tool. The team actually decided to use this tool on the left-hand side to introduce a digital method, so to say, to do user research. So you see here a surgeon who was then also instructed by this toolkit, who was then using his mobile phone and thinking aloud whilst playing around and testing this prototype. That helped a lot to then iterate some more times, and you see here the amazing team. By the way, Laurin Schaffner is also in the room, so if you are interested in this project, he will definitely be happy to also talk to you afterwards. And his colleague Benjamin, and both of them also conducted interviews and a lot of surveys afterwards to really prove that their application approach works. The project followed and was then able to also enter another study phase in the university hospital and at other clinics. So in the end, this is a very nice project example actually to show how this interdisciplinary collaborations could work. The last project was this one, and I think it's also very interesting to say that it focuses on a totally different side of health, more on the rehabilitation side. So you see here a game-based approach. Again, a collaboration with a startup company, and the focus was here the sports rehabilitation after knee injury. So again, our team engaged in the field, and we visited different rehabilitation clinics to see how actually this ACL rupture is being treated in different physiotherapeutic settings. And normally it looks very much like the picture on the right-hand side. However, if we think about athletes and that their main goal is really to go back to this scenario, onto the field, back to competition as soon as possible without always having to think about their knee and really being present in the outside, also processing all the different stimuli you need to process in order to be able to compete successfully, we found there must be another solution. That was why we then came up with this idea of using an exergame approach, a game-based training approach for motor cognitive training. In the first step, we did a biomechanical analysis of an existing solution to really understand the different movement patterns and sequences, which are also very beneficial in these different rehabilitation phases. We also conducted a lot of interviews and focus groups to really understand the needs of athletes and also the physiotherapists, and translated everything into a new game scenario. You see the prototype on the right-hand side. So the first was really all about a controlled setting to really have stability training, balance, and you will see in a second that there was also the so-called chaos phase, where it was then much more as it would be when you are back on the field. So much more of cognitive stimuli, many more also jumps and sprints, reaction time. So you see them here. That's the chaos phase. And after some evaluation phases, the startup took up here and developed the whole prototype further. And this solution is now being used at more than 60 locations worldwide. So also a very nice example. Yeah, and with that, I'd like to close and also invite you all, if you think at some point of time it might be valuable also for you to join forces with some designers. I would really recommend it to everyone to do so at some point of time. And you see here some of the different things we could actually offer. So if you feel inspired, I'm also here later on. So I'm happy to connect with you about that. And now I'm very much looking forward to the startups, and just want to say, health we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I take the clicker. Thank you so much, Annalisa, also reminding us that obviously putting human in the center, it's also resulting a much better result, and maybe also makes more fun and enjoyable, even if you have to go through like a rehabilitation or the patient journey. And exactly this is why we are here today. So now really the highlight of the evening also starts, because we're going to have 7 startups pitching on stage. They all have 3 minutes time to showcase their innovative solutions. And we are going to start with the first startup in line, aindo. And this startup really proves that endurance is not only for athletes, but also for founders. It's very important. Freshly back from a half marathon, sitting here with us, Alessandro. Maybe something to know about aindo, that originally they are actually a fintech startup. They have been also in our scale-up program, but then they take the bold pivot and moved into health data innovation. So they are currently creating privacy-preserving, bias-controlled synthetic health data. Now that sounds very interesting. So please welcome Alessandro for aindo.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Artificial intelligence has the spotlight today. But with AI models developing very fast, they will soon become a commodity. While in today's economy, we believe that data is king because it's the thing that AI cannot run without. And despite the great achievements so far of AI, what should surprise is that data, the vast majority of data, is still not leveraged, either because it is trapped in formats that don't talk to each other, or because they are hidden behind strict GDPR-like regulation. This is the reason, the challenge is why we have started to put our expertise in AI into becoming the reference in Europe for synthetic data generation. Synthetic data is any kind of data that is constructed algorithmically, and in particular, we use our proprietary AI technology to develop and generate GDPR-compliant, high-quality synthetic data that mimics real ones. During the journey, we have raised 6 million from the 2 top Italian venture capital firms and have gained also the trust by major European leaders in healthcare, finance, and telecommunication. But as we have understood, healthcare space is the space where this matters the most. Think about all the efforts already in place globally to boost the adoption of real-world data, such, for example, the European Health Data Space Regulation. Today, our synthetic data technology is already a way to use and reuse patient data without exposing any individual information, fastening time to data by 90%, improving data quality, and therefore maximizing ROI and market time for pharmaceutical companies, all in an ethical and compliant way. We can do it because we have the best synthetic generation solution on the market, according to the US National Institute of Technology, and because we are the first and only company in synthetic data to be certified Euro Privacy, ensuring GDPR compliance to the data that we generate. And it's based on this unique achievement that we are now developing the first LLM focused entirely on health, trained on what would be otherwise inaccessible information, working as a clinical decision support system on one side for physicians, enabling for them leveraging best practices from also top-level hospitals, and also as a real-time printer of real-world evidence for the pharmaceutical companies. We have already built in Italy a strong healthcare network, having signed partnership with all the clinical data holders and securing access to valuable health data. And also European Commission has already given their trust with 2 million grants and a further 6 million commitment equity-based for our next round. We are in total 27 people pushing the boundaries in both AI and medical research. And as for myself, I'm here today to expand our network in healthcare, to secure a new paid pilot project, therefore strengthening the metrics for our next round, foreseen for next year, mid-2026. So either if you are a pharma or a healthcare professional, or if you're an investor willing to help us reinvent data-driven healthcare, I'm looking forward to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much from Alessandro. And now our next founder, she really deserves a gold medal for multitasking, performing in her job, raising the family, and building her dream project. So this is really what I call dedication. So Bloom helps doctors and dietitians to boost the patient adherence through an AI-powered nutrition platform. So let's please welcome Oksana from Bloom.
This is just in case. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Have you ever tried, you or any one of your friends, ever tried to lose weight?
Yes. Yeah.
We tried it as well, many times. We're the team of experts in tech, business, and healthcare with over 15 years of experience in each area. We worked in big companies, we had a few exits, and we successfully built one tech startup. But no matter how experienced and successful you are in other areas, you may still struggle with the weight issues. And the reason here is nutrition care is broken. It's fragmented and disconnected. While doctors still use too many tools, losing too much time, they still lose the patient retention. At the same time, patients disappear because they feel disconnected, lack of support, and they drop off within the first month when they don't see fast and easy results. That is why we built Bloom. We want to change it. We built one ecosystem, one unified data to achieve the highest personalization in nutrition care ever created. You might ask me, but there are so many solutions in this market. Why Bloom? It's because of the €6 billion reason behind it. Today, 11,000 European clinics and 75,000 private dietitians and nutritionists lose €6 billion every year just because this disconnected and fragmented care. We are targeting 3 different groups: clinics, private registered doctors, and patients. We offer them flexible plans to better meet their needs. Why is now? Because now is the best time. Technologies are ready. We already have LLMs, image and voice recognition, and RAG system available. And the market is booming. It's growing really fast, led by the calorie trackers and GLP-1 therapy. But clinics and patients, the problem for them still remains. So, combining the best technologies with the diverse personal needs, we can offer the best personalization in the nutrition care to meet this growing market demand. And as you see, the market is really big and it's growing fast. Where we are now as a team? Well, we have successfully built our MVP. Just today, we learned that we have finally released it in their iTunes and Google Market, just for the patients, and the platform also available. And we already started the test with the early adopters and first clinics. More than that, we have the huge wait list of patients and doctors eager to try the solution already this year. That is why we're opening the investment opportunity for the pre-seed round of $500K. We need this money for the medical device regulation, product development, and scaling to the new markets. Join us on this journey. Let's discuss our next steps. Contact us or just join us by LinkedIn to learn more details about the product and request the demo. Thank you.
The clicker? Yes. Thank you so much. Now, next up is a startup who's really not afraid to tackle tough challenges and just facing it right away. So Genorare is tackling one of the healthcare toughest problems, which means also detecting rare diseases up to 10 times faster than traditional methods. So this is something very interesting. So please welcome from Genorare.
Good evening. 8 years ago, my mother-in-law passed away after 3 years of misdiagnosis. By the time we knew it was very rare cancer, it was too late. And we are not unique in this journey. 1 in 10 people in this planet are affected by rare disease. WHO already declared it is a global public health priority. Do you know, most of the patients have to wait 6-7 years to get to know the answer. Means for the farmer who developed the treatment, 85%, can you believe that, of the trial missing their target and timeline. Cost $1 trillion. We are Genorare. We are here to change that. We are the first and the only secure AI system for rare disease patients. our secret sauce, we turn encrypted data into diagnosis, research, and care. 3 simple steps. Patient upload the data, it gets encrypted, analyzed, and secure match between the patient to the right doctor, the right clinical trial, and the right expert. Anywhere, anytime. We call it detect, secure, connect. It's not only matching patient, we empower the whole cross-border rare disease ecosystem. It's the patient recruitment platform, privacy as a service, because zero trust infrastructure is our core strength, and it's the real-world evidence platform from pharma. It goes beyond $500 million US sold market, because we sit where privacy meets precision. We set the foundation for the next generation of healthcare intelligent opportunities. Remember, we analyze the encrypted data without ever selling this. Today marks our 6-month anniversary. We have our product being used and trusted in pilot with hospital on the way to proven market fit for the pharma. We have publications scientifically. We are recognized by industry partners, and we are backed by NOC Health Venture. Our business model is simple. It's the privacy as a service. It's scalable across markets, include pharma, biotech CEO, hospital. It's tier subscription, licensing, or just white label. My name is weHuddle. I'm the serial entrepreneur in digital health. I'm backed by 20 team members across the global in rare disease, medical doctor, scientists, cybersecurity, and we believe no patient should go unknown. If you believe so, join us. No patient should go unknown or die unknown. Thank you.
Now, the next team proves that innovation, just like good health, is all about staying in motion. So please meet Juvion Health Science, which is a spin-off from the APFL, and they are developing therapeutics that preserve mobility and also slow age-related decline. So please welcome Som from Juvion Health Science.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Imagine this. You wake up one morning, and suddenly a simple act of standing up is challenging. Every step is uncertain. Every movement is smaller. This is the reality of millions of aging individuals suffering from loss of mobility. If you look at lifespan, it has increased dramatically last 100 years. But we fail to sustain our health fully. If we don't act now, this gap between living longer but not living well, it's not going to be a health issue, it will become a societal problem. Loss of mobility is one of the major contributors of stagnant health span. This loss of mobility often leads to falls, hospitalizations, social isolations, even increases the chances of death. Despite all this, and spend billions of dollars annually on healthcare costs, no one is addressing this challenge directly. Whenever you think about mobility, you always think about muscles, right? How often do you think what drives these muscles? Neurons in our brain connect to the muscle fibers. That drives the signal that enables us to move. If it is so, you're wondering what happens to these neurons. In here, red indicates neurons that control our movement. As we age, these neurons disappear. But what does it mean in real life, in functional aspects? When you're young and performing a motor task, these neurons can release chemicals to the muscles in a sustained way. But when you get old, these neurons get tired, get exhausted very fast. What does it mean in real life? When you're taking the stairs, the first few steps are relatively easy regardless of our age. But when you take the last few steps, it gets increasingly difficult as we age because our neurons get exhausted. Now the question is, can we prevent this decline to happen? And that's where we come from. Have been working in this field for the last 10 years, understanding the biological mechanisms that can prevent this age-dependent decline of neuromuscular health and mobility by 15 years. Understanding this know-how, we are developing a pipeline of compounds targeting neuromuscular health. Our first lead product, Juvion 001, coming from plant, which can sustain our mobility by more than 40%. It can reduce the number of falls. It can maintain our muscle strength. It can delay the diseases like sarcopenia and motor neuropathy. And above all this, it can maintain our independence and vitality no matter how old we are. Our business model is simple. We are already being recognized worldwide. We get tractions from multi-million-dollar companies, Fortune 500 companies, and having a deep tech startup, we are having revenue already within a year. This is our growing, passionate team with a vast experience in neuroscience, world-renowned entrepreneurs, experts in business commercializations and business development. Together, we have the startup agility and scientific acumen. We have raised 400,000 out of this 600,000 round, and now we are seeking remaining 200,000. If you're interested, please reach out to me. With that, thank you for your attention, and if our journey resonates with you, let's connect.
So far we have heard about synthetic health data, using AI to help also patients to adhere to the treatment, therapy, actually detecting rare diseases or helping slowing aging. Now let's see actually what is happening in the industry, in the real life, and for that we have put together an expert panel, which I would like to also invite to come to the stage. The panel will be moderated by Diana Hardy, who is also the CEO of the Swiss healthcare startups. Microphones. Yes.
So thank you very much. It's great to be here. A warm welcome also from my side. And before I introduce the panelists, and we have a great group of panelists today, I'd like to start with a few insights. As just mentioned, I lead the biggest startup organization for healthcare startups in Switzerland, Swiss healthcare startups. And when I talk to our startups, and we have almost 800 healthcare startups in our community, in particular the ones that want to collaborate with hospitals, and hospitals is the topic of the panel, I often hear, hey, hospitals, it takes a long time to work with them. And so innovation and digital transformation is perceived sometimes as being a bit slow. And I think this is the topic that we want to tackle today, because we know that in reality, hospitals are working really, really hard on innovation, on digital transformation. And so we want to have a reality check here and really explore what's happening inside hospitals and how startups and other tech players can really contribute to accelerating change and adoption. So with me today is Line Krista Amanda Sørensen. She's the Chief Commercial Officer at Trifork, and as many of you know, it's a leading European IT house and software development house, and you work a lot with hospitals. So we're going to get some very good insights from that end. We have Konstantin Landers, Dr. Konstantin Landers. He's Senior Account Manager at NVIDIA, a very hyped and known company. And I also learned that you have a PhD in digital health, and I'm sure you're going to be able to provide some insights from that end. And Dr. Sebastiano Caprara, we've had you already on panels in this 1080 demo day setup, and you will be speaking from the hospital side today because you're the head of digital medicine unit at the University Clinic of Belgrist. And we're very happy to have these three very different people here. And so let's start with a few questions that I've prepared for you about digitalization and how that is happening in the hospital setup. So, Sebastiano, when we're talking about digital transformation and you're leading a lot of projects inside the hospital, what's actually the biggest misconception that you think people from outside have about how fast hospitals can innovate?
Well, I think maybe the big one misconception is that hospitals are slow because they kind of resist change and they don't want to change, or they have old organization with sometimes established process, and so there is a certain resistance to it. But in reality, as you mentioned and was mentioned already, we have a lot of projects that are building the foundation to be able to innovate faster. And we do a lot of things that maybe are not visible, but there are a lot of people in hospital and university hospital as us that are really keen to innovate. And it's, of course, it's a matter of priority. We have a lot of projects that goes beyond digitalization, but being able to kind of show the added value and build the foundation to be able to accelerate is what we are doing.
Very good. So thank you. Line, from your work with Trifork at Trifork, you see a lot of hospital projects. That's one of the core business areas. And what separates a good hospital project when it comes to digitalization from one that is perhaps stalling, that has no success?
I mean, we have been working with hospitals for 2 decades now, so we've seen a little bit of everything, I would say. But maybe getting back to sort of 3 core points, and maybe that's also a recommendation for the startup companies in the room tonight. Well, you've got to talk about money, so there needs to be a business case around what you're doing. That's unfortunate maybe for some highly innovative areas, but you really need to understand how the money flow is. And that also means you need to understand the stakeholder environment and not just the immediate one around your solution that is embedded in a wider process and a wider patient journey. But you also need to know what goes on in the patient journey before it hits your solution and also afterwards. So those 3 recommendations, understand what the money flow is, who's actually controlling the money flow, understanding the stakeholder environment, and then understanding the patient journey, not just from your isolated experience, but sort of end-to-end in the patient journey.
Okay, very good. Very good recommendations. So, Konstantin, you've also seen various sides of digital transformation. You've had a look into strategic project. You were also a consultant before. You've seen the tech side. And where do you actually see bottlenecks that you see improving? I mean, where are you also trying to make a change?
With pleasure. It's a great question, and it's actually a pleasure to be on stage with 2 very important partners for us. So I'm not sure how aware the room is. NVIDIA is very conscious or very focused on hospitals, but we typically do what I would describe as sort of stack enablement a little bit before the final implementation at the hospital. And we do that through partners such as Trifork, right? And we have an incredible partnership with Belgrist. And I think the learning that I would distill from that is the probably biggest impediment that we have in healthcare and in hospitals in particular is stakeholder misalignment, right? And precisely there's an incentive problem, and you referred to that already, that we need to manage, right? We need to overcome that. And the way that NVIDIA likes to do that is to truly shape out focused areas that are hyper important to patients, right? And map that to technology frameworks that we're developing. Ambient AI is one use case, right? So the existence of AI in treatment rooms or when a patient enters a hospital. Agentic AI is another one. but really utilize these technologies so they serve a real purpose for patients. Now, how do we overcome these bottlenecks? Well, the important point is that we are laser focused on what is the ultimate patient problem, what stakeholders can all come together doing something that they do extremely well to, in a group, advance the use case together, right? So at Belgrist, we do very well on digital surgery, on digital twins of patients. We've previously worked with Belgrist on medical imaging with various, King's College London is another example, NHS Trusts are another example here. But the idea is always to bring these different stakeholders together, be laser focused on the use case, and sort of focus on everybody's strengths.
Okay, thank you very much. Very insightful. So the next few questions will actually dwell around a topic you've started to touch already, which is collaboration. So collaboration, particularly between hospitals and startups, and you know we have a lot of them in the room. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, startups are also, or from the hospital end, I think hospitals see startups as being very fast, and startups think, oh, hospitals are slow. So there's a clear mismatch, and we need to bridge this gap. And how do we do this, right? Let's see what ideas we have beyond what you've already mentioned. So coming back to you, Sebastiano, when you think about the startup collaborations that you are perhaps currently doing or that you're looking into, what makes such a collaboration attractive for hospitals? So what do you look for when collaborating?
Well, I think it was mentioned already, right? Solving real problem and also be able to integrate the solution into the more complex and larger ecosystem than just that product, right? So understanding the whole, patient journey, I also mentioned, from the patient entering the hospital, the stakeholders in the clinic, and how the solution needs to be integrated in that. So we are really trying to have this type of conversation with a startup and trying to let's say co-design or brainstorm how such solution goes beyond the sometimes very specific product. And I think this conversation sometimes is difficult also internally. We have to involve a lot of people that have not that much time, but being able also to have this cultural shift internally, but also to get this back and forth conversation with the startup on the other side is very important, and it gets into some sort of co-creation process that is beneficial for both sides.
Very good, and that's actually the next hook also for my question for Line. So actually you very often sit between hospitals and startups, correct? And you also try to help with this integration, I understand. Mm-hmm. Can you give us some insights and what is your formula for enabling this integration and this successful collaboration?
Yeah, and we actually play two roles in that because we are the integration partner in most cases, but Trifork is also a corporate venture fund. So since 15 years, we also do investments in digital health startup companies. So we have multiple hats on when we take that role. That can make it easier. It can also make it more difficult, actually. I would say for us, it is very important as an integrator to have the dialogue on the highest possible level. So you get buy-in very early. You need ambassadors, you need ownership in terms of what you're trying to do. So even though you're looking into an individual clinical space that may be highly specialized, you may need to move up the food chain. And for some healthcare systems, it is easier than others. I come from the Nordics, I come from Denmark, which is an acclaimed front runner in terms of digital health. There it is slightly easier because you have a highly centralized healthcare system. So you may only need to talk to like 5 or 6 people to get the ball rolling, and here it might be 10 people in the one hospital. And so it's a totally different ball game, but move up the food chain, I would say. Some startups, they spend too much time talking to just one clinical expert or 2 or 3, and then they might not get anywhere, and it's not because of lack of interest from this clinical expert. It's just you need to talk to where the power is and where there is some momentum behind that looks ahead more than 2 or 3 years.
Very insightful, thank you. Working up the food chain, I'll remember that. But you mentioned another very important topic, which is kind of the hook now to Konstantin, because you mentioned Denmark, and you mentioned a different country, a different healthcare system, and we know Denmark is way more centralized than the Swiss healthcare system. And NVIDIA, you guys work globally, right? You work with hospitals, also on many AI topics, of course. What does it take for you to bring this knowledge and this know-how in these, well, very regulated environments? And perhaps you can give us also a little bit on the global perspective, if you have insights on that.
Yeah, I think regulation is hyper important, and naturally that's one of the core enabler here, right? I mean, in general, in the terms of how we partner with hospitals, it's very focused on what I described earlier, right? It's that vision, what are really the lighthouse opportunities that we have out there that we need to move forward, right? And NVIDIA does things in a very indirect way for that reason, right? We remain very focused, and I think for the startups in the room, that's maybe particularly relevant. We stay very focused on the core underlying technologies that will enable drastic changes in how healthcare is practiced going forward. But then we rely on that amazing sort of set of ecosystem partners, the Triforks, the startups, the global system integrators that help us bring that across, right? So regulation plays a major role in that, naturally. And it will always vary country by country. The core point that we try to make to the ecosystem in general is let's be pragmatic in how regulation plays a role, right? So it's very important, and maybe I go a little bit back to the PhD days there, right? And my PhD thesis. It's very important that we keep laser focused on that use case that we have in mind, but then make sure that the regulation around it, or the process around it early enough involves the regulators. That's not something that NVIDIA typically does, because we're further down the food chain and providing the core technology. But what we've seen with our core sort of implementation partners is that they've often been quite successful in getting people like the NHS involved very early. And then in Switzerland, there's the Swiss Personalized Health Network, for example. But to have these semi-governmental bodies involved early enough and be pragmatic about how we do these things, right? Plainly, regulation will play a major role for AI in healthcare, but it's only through that direct exchange, that regular exchange, that we will ensure that the technology can move forward, right? So exchange and early involvement is super key there.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's use the last few minutes to the road ahead, and let's look into the future as good as we can. If you look a few years ahead, what makes you optimistic about digitalization when it comes to hospitals? What do you see happening where you say, hey, this is the future and we're on the right path?
I can go first. I think I'll take a pragmatic viewpoint. It's necessity in combination with the incredible technologies that we have coming up, right? So it's no secret that our healthcare systems are overburdened. And in order to sort of address that, we will have to find completely novel ways of tackling it. Now, the good news is that there is incredible technology coming up, right? So we see the rise of agentic AI. We are very focused also at NVIDIA on ambient AI, so the sort of ability of AI agents to be in the room and help solve problems. And then last but not least, physical AI is super, super important and coming up. And so integrating these technologies will tremendously help us in time address these issues.
Yeah, and of course, as being a part of NVIDIA, we have to agree on the AI side and being a highly nerdy company such as Trifork. But I think there's also something we shouldn't overlook, and that is what I call sort of basic use cases where you can really get some effort and some impact on the healthcare system. And that is in something like simple resource planning and resource allocation. It may or may not require AI depending on the complexity of what you're trying to do. But that is really something where we can get some, excuse my language, bang for the bucks in terms of either public healthcare or private insurance setup. There's a lot of wastage in large systems, large complex systems. So just from that systemic thinking, I think there's a lot to gain from that. And that is innovation, or it is something that improves effectiveness that we can then use for innovation.
Well, maybe I just repeat the efficiency part, right? As hospital, we need to become more efficient, so there is an urgency on that. I will maybe add on the whole AI, which I agree, the technology that is coming will help us being more efficient. But finally, I would say maybe we are, speak about the data quality and data standardization, and this is a conversation that is starting across hospital. You mentioned Swiss personalized health network. DigiSanté is another example why we are having new conversation that will set the foundation for the technology on top. And these are essential piece of the puzzle which are needed, are not maybe super sexy in terms of communicating innovation, but those are things that hospital in Switzerland are addressing.
May I just follow up with that? So you all mentioned AI, and of course this is the big theme. Are you not afraid that this could also be too much? Could you perhaps be overwhelmed by all this input coming in? Oh, look, this AI everywhere, and you have to implement and make it work. There's the EU AI Act, all these things that in the end you are the face to the patient. Is that something that also raises concerns, perhaps, internally?
Maybe we should go back to being too slow, right? We should have a strategy in place in how we want to integrate which technology in which process, and it's not just about adding a new app to the physicians, which are already overwhelmed about documentation and admin and we don't want that they need to log in 200 times per day for use another app to be efficient, right? So that's, but we are getting it there. This foundation is also helping us in, moving from let's add another app into integration, sustainability of the whole, IT landscape and infrastructure into the hospital. So we are moving in the right direction, but yeah, there is a lot of, basic and foundation to be improved.
Anything that you would like to add on the overwhelming AI load coming up, perhaps?
Yeah, look, I think I'd repeat some of that prioritization piece again, right? So we can't, I think a lot of people feel like they're drinking from the fire hose, and that's part of the amazing, I mean, the fact that the technology coming out is so powerful is a result of that. But I think, yes, we need to be empathetic, but we also need to be rational in how we prioritize what use case where, right? Or at least hospitals need to undergo that prioritization. And naturally, you will not adopt everything at once. And naturally, as technology is moving quite fast, you might also be able to leapfrog and jump over certain technologies and really focus on that burning frontier of new possibilities. But again, I think the core way to overcome that is collaboration, right? It's not one or the other, and I see, especially in hospitals, I see too much misalignment when really the situation out there is amazing. We have burning constraints in our healthcare systems, but we also have amazing technologies and we have amazing stakeholders that bring various different strengths together, and only by coming together will we make it happen. Yeah?
And I totally agree with Konstantin on the pragmatic kind of consideration. What is actually, where do you get the value for money in terms of AI? And I'm also looking forward to the hype curve going in the other direction, actually, because I'm getting slightly tired of the whole overhyped thing. So I normally say 15 years ago, we had hospitals calling us and saying, oh, we need an app. And I said, that's excellent, what do you need it for? And now we're in the situation with AI, oh, we need some AI. And I say the exact same thing, what do you need it for? So getting back to the pragmatic and business case and patient-centric driven considerations around how you actually apply your budget, I think that would be sensible, and I hope that's coming up in 2026.
Perfect. I have one final question, and I would like to ask all of you to answer in one sentence, or because it's supposed to be an advice to startups. So what is your message or your advice to startups who want to work with hospitals? What would you like to share?
So maybe we mentioned a lot co-creation and collaboration. I would say maybe move from build for the hospital in building with the hospital.
Thank you. Very good.
I'd say prioritize continuously and listen to all the amazing stakeholders that are out there.
Thank you.
And maybe a little bit on the semi-personal side, get system integrator on your term sheet, on your cap table, because they can help you, not only with capital, but also in getting a foot in the door.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Lina, once again, Konstantin and Sebastiano, for being here, for sharing these insights. I think we can all see changes happening, and the will is there, and the energy is there, and I think we can make it happen, but it might take a little bit of time and a lot of collaboration. On that note, please join me in thanking the panelists, and
big applause for the panelists. Before you run away, we have some small, actually appreciating presents also for you. So, thank you for first of all, like Diana, thank you so much, and also for our panelists. Thank you very much again, and thank you for this insightful discussion. So we want to see in 2026 much more integration and real use cases. I think this was also one of the message which came out of the panel. And with that, we are actually moving forward to the second part of our startup pitches. So we still have 3 more startups who are going to present their solutions. And the next one in line is Simcase AI, who took the simulations into a completely different level and also bringing a personal touch of new life. This is just a small hint. So Simcase AI is a company which is transforming the clinical education for doctors and medical students with realistic voice-based AI simulation. So the company has been founded by Dimitri and Fabian. You also see the pictures on the slide, but today the presentation will be done by Adnan Karim, who is an early supporter of the startup and also the VC investor. And the reason why actually Adnan jumped in tonight because Dimitri just became the father, so he cannot be here today with us, but we want to congratulate to baby Marfa. So with that, please welcome Adnan from Simcase AI.
Good evening, my fellow investors, friends, startups. Is this on?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, Dimitri has now a new full-time employee. So he asked me, Adnan, can you go pitch for me? I said, that has been a long time. He said, use our app, you'll be fine. I was pretty excited. I was also a bit stressed. But then I said, okay, how about I maybe look up online if I can find some sources, or maybe I go for a workshop. Pretty expensive. I said no. Then I looked at the online stuff. It's all just reading. How can I practice talking, pitching, or selling by just reading? It's like trying to become a good cook by just reading a cookbook. That doesn't happen. So the idea of Simcase was to think, okay, how can we make this happen? How can we make sure that the communication is natural as well and not robotic? That's where Fabien, our super smart CTO, came up with a solution together with Dimitri that allows AI components to be orchestrated together, allowing the flow to go much faster, much easier, and giving a much more natural experience. So we can then implement this based on scenario. So I can say, hey, I exactly want to practice this. These are the skills I want to go for, and this is what I want to achieve. So we kind of created a conversation as a service, which allows to be implemented everywhere, and we started this with the University of Geneva Medical School. They were very excited by this, and they really wished to implement this with their medical students to practice for their exams. But we went a step ahead. We said this is not enough. We want to change the whole ecosystem of healthcare, so we will go a step further and went to do a pilot with insurance companies, because they're also selling something, they're communicating. And that's what makes it interesting for me as a VC. This is not just another tool. This is something that brings all the correct components together, allowing a natural exchange and allowing it happening everywhere. So that's Simcase AI. Thank you.
Now, our next startup has a special story also to tell. And it took something very personal into a mission to help change also the cancer care and to make it more compassionate. I think also the name Onconest is actually quite telling. It's basically an AI-powered companion which helps just basically newly diagnosed patients, cancer patients, to go through the first weeks, which is also really matters the most. So please welcome Veronica from Onconest.
Good evening. Globally, 20 million people are diagnosed with the cancer every single year, and my husband was one of them. Thus, I experienced firsthand the devastating impact it has on the patient, but as well on the loved ones. We were one of many people who were experiencing emotional chaos. We were lacking information, and we were also experiencing and facing fragmented care. We were Googling, ChatGPTing, and our stress was over the roof. That's why we're building Onconest, the AI-powered tool for cancer patients. We are transforming overwhelming data into clear information and personalized guidance. We are democratizing the information, access to the information, for the patients when they need it the most. Market opportunity huge. Just in Europe, 4 million people are diagnosed with cancer every single year. 1 in 2 men in Europe and 1 in 3 women. Our ambition is to become #1 onco-companion tool for cancer patients and caregivers. We are preparing the comprehensive tool, and in first phase, we do have covered diagnosis and treatment tracking, emotional part covering meditation, as well journaling and emotional check-ins. And we do have trained AI, which is translating the really complex medical information into something more understandable for the patients. And as well, our trained AI is only on knowledge-based, aligned with the oncologists. And last but not least, but our model is as well preventing hallucination. We do have multi-stream revenue model at this moment with health insurance. We do have under Health 2030 patient program, then pharma partnerships, and last but not least, patient subscription model. We are like 3 months at this moment, and we do have really great traction. We created beta version MVP, which we tested already with 50 patients, and we are now doing the UX experience. We are enhancing to be able to run clinical pilot with the hospitals from December. We have a great team behind that. That's why we are moving quite fast. We do have technical team with really AI backend and front-end experience, and myself with 15 years of experience from the big companies, pharma companies, marketing, sales, and business development. We do have as well advisors and mentors from the fields. And last but not least, we do have really strong interest from the leading hospitals from Czech Republic and Slovakia. And several of them already signed the LOIs, and some NGOs as well. And at this moment, we are raising 400,000 to be able to enable us to scale and grow the business. So if you are interested, speak to me. Thank you so much.
So last, but definitely not the least, our grand finale, and she comes directly across from New York City. So weHuddle, please meet weHuddle. weHuddle is basically a solution which helps therapists to run and manage group therapy sessions with ease, also solving this biggest problem of getting access, basically therapist when you need it. So please help me to welcome Michelle from weHuddle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Corey. I'm a New York City-based psychotherapist and founder and CEO of weHuddle. So when I started my private practice, I was eager to offer group therapy. In 2023, the APA announced that group therapy is clinically effective, more affordable for patients, and more time efficient for therapists. Plus, therapists can stand to make 150% more when they offer groups. It's great for systems too. If US mental health care shifted just 10% to group therapy, 3.5 million more people could be seen, and 5.6 billion would be saved. But I quickly ran into a wall. There was no centralized place to list my groups or market them, let alone a place to manage billing and scheduling. When I dug deeper, I found that I was not the only one. Busy therapists were relying on outdated tools like email listservs and message boards to try to find referrals for their groups. And every day, there were new messages of frustration about the logistical barriers to offering groups and their large caseloads. That's when it hit me. If we could unlock the potential of group therapy, we wouldn't just be helping therapists expand their practices. We could tackle an urgent issue, the waitlist epidemic. Just last month, 5,000 people protested in Bern over the long waits for access to care, mental health care. So by making it easier for therapists to consolidate their waitlists into groups, we are solving a long-term problem. It's a solution that has special value in a post-pandemic landscape where loneliness is rampant and people are motivated to meet in person. That's why I created weHuddle, the first and only platform to help independent therapists organize their groups, manage their practices, and market their groups, and for clients to find their healing huddles. Our business model is based on membership fees for therapists and transaction-based revenue from the groups. And this model is more applicable to Switzerland than you may expect, in part due to new platforms like EPSI that make it easier for independent therapists to market and manage their practices. And the time is now because Switzerland's mental health system is currently open to hearing new ideas until 2027. So our platform could serve as proof of concept for the impact of group therapy. From New York to Switzerland, group therapy is simply the next step to making mental health care more impactful and efficient and affordable. And I'm prepared to do this. I'm a Columbia University trained psychotherapist with a decade of experience and a Penguin Random House author with over 200,000 social media followers across platforms. And I also have the support of a passionate team with expertise that ranges from business to tech. We are looking for 300,000 Swiss francs to launch our MVP, incorporate in Switzerland, and onboard 300 new therapists. Together, we could bring about a group therapy revolution to mental health care. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have actually reached close to the end of our demo day, and you can see all of our 7 amazing startups. They are all solving a unique challenge in healthcare. You can see also the QR code, which we have put on the slide. If you scan it, you can have an access to all of the websites of our startups at one place. You can also find an information about the next Digital Health Accelerator program and also the key contacts in Tenity and the Digital Health Center Bulak. Don't worry about if you missed this QR code as well. You can also find it on your name tag, on your badge, just behind. So it's also kind of a great way to stay connected. And with that, I also want to introduce you to some people who are actually behind the digital health program. From the Tenity team, Virginia, she is the program manager of our Digital Health Accelerator program. She's also, please come and also join me on the stage. Yeah. She's also like a heart and soul of the program and following the startup founders, all their ups and downs and late night investor matchmaking. So, yeah. And we also have, of course, Matthias with us, who is also the kind of a brain behind the program as well. He has helped to bring this healthcare vertical also to Tenity and also shaping a collaboration with the Digital Health Center. And I think Stefan is also sitting there. Please also join us to the stage. So Stefan.
I have a little something, but unfortunately not for you, Stefan. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. This is a gentleman. Thank you. This we didn't prep, by the way. And before we are actually going to leave this room, I also wanted to ask all the startup founders to come and join us on the stage, because we also want to make some group photos, also together with the team behind the program. So please come up. Maybe I just quickly change the... So just together like a group. Yeah, maybe I just put the flowers here. Don't be shy, please come up. So everybody who is, all the startup founders. Yes, exactly. And the Tenity team together. Yeah.
Who's taking a picture? And who's taking a picture? Exactly. Yes, you should be here.
Oh, she's not.
I know she's here.
Good.
I know she's not.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you very much. And last thing I wanted to ask, I also wanted to ask Annalisa to join us, please, on the stage. And all the panelists as well, the expert panels, please join us on the stage. We're also going to make a group photo. And we also wanted to say a big thank you for Annalisa also for the keynote and also for this beautiful venue. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So again, let's take a group photo together. Good. All right. At the back, yes. Fantastic. If you're good, Thank you so much again. And we would like to invite you now for the networking apero. Please connect. Please find us as well. And the important thing is, sorry, I'm too excited about the apero. Thank you so much.